Hello everyone, this is PK Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video for you, and this will be a debate and discussion on the Silver Surfer and when will he finally get his due and have that epic live action standalone movie that the character is so deserving of. Now I'm sure you're all familiar with who the Silver Surfer is, but just in case anybody who's watching who doesn't know, the Silver Surfer is one of Marvel's most cosmic characters who first made his appearance in the Fantastic Four issue number 48 in March 1966. He was originally an astronomer known as Norrin Radd, existing on a planet known as Standalone, and he comes to his planet's aid when it comes under the attack from the omnipotent being known as Galactus, who wants to absorb the planet's energy to maintain his own lifespan. Norrin Radd bargains with Galactus to spare the planet in return for helping him find other planets to consume and preserve his energy. Galactus infuses Norrin with the power cosmic to enable him to traverse the galaxy looking for planets with the aid of a surfboard. The power changes his appearance, giving him an all-silver chrome-like body aesthetic, and the Silver Surfer travels the galaxy searching for planets for Galactus before eventually coming into conflict against him after meeting the Fantastic Four on planet Earth. Now I feel that the Silver Surfer is a truly great character, regarded as one of the most powerful characters in all of comics, not just the Marvel universe itself. And what I find most fascinating about him is his origin story, which I feel overall is one of the best within the Marvel characters. The sacrifice that Norrin Radd makes for his planet, yet he ends up paying the ultimate price. Originally being more obsessed with other planets than his own, he has the ability to travel the entire universe, yet he ends up alone. And overall he just wants to return home, so despite having all of that power, he lives very much a life of solitude. So there's a real beautiful tragic irony about the Surfer's story, and being set in the cosmic universe of course offers a vast amount of material for storytelling. So in terms of a live action adaptation outside of the comics, we only really got the 1998 Fox animated series, which was very good in my opinion, and it perfectly recaptured Jack Kirby's aesthetic, and is a very underrated series and sadly was cancelled after its first season. In terms of an actual movie, the only content that we had in terms of the Silver Surfer was the Fantastic Four movie sequel Rise of the Silver Surfer, released in 2007, directed by Tim Story, which lifted elements of the origin, but unfortunately it completely disrespected Galactus by visualising him more as just a space cloud. But in terms of the Silver Surfer himself, I think the movie got it pretty spot on. Aesthetically, the character looked great and had probably the best action sequences in the entire movie. This included a great scene where we see him being pursued by the Human Torch all throughout the city. We also had some great sequences where he was being attacked by the military. Voiced by Lawrence Fishburne and physically played by Doug Jones, it really was a good representation that sadly didn't result in any following standalone movie. So in terms of a live action film, when will the Silver Surfer finally get his chance to shine? Well, the obvious option is of course through the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now when Disney took over Fox Studios, they were able to acquire back the rights of the character alongside the likes of Galactus and the Fantastic Four and of course the X-Men. Now we all know the Fantastic Four will be arriving within the Marvel Cinematic Universe in around 2024, beginning phase 6. Now we wouldn't expect to see the Silver Surfer in that particular film, but if it's successful as what we would expect it to be, would the character be introduced in any potential sequel, as previously is what we saw with the Tim Story films, before getting his own live action film? Now that tactic will certainly be in keeping with the MCU and how it's managed to introduce lesser characters before giving them their own standalone movie. Another option is of course to include him in an end credit scene before then going on to introducing us with his own standalone story. Now for me personally, I'd like to see a standalone movie first. I think the advantage of having him within the MCU is that the cosmic universe is already well established. We've seen this throughout the last two Thor movies, both for Ragnarok and for Love and Thunder. Both the Guardians of the Galaxy films, where we've had several references to cosmic beings such as the Watcher, Ego and Eternity. The looks of the Skrulls and the Kree were established in Captain Marvel. And even most impressively, we saw in the Eternals the Celestials on a huge large planetary scale, and seeing how Prince Aslan was visualised in the beginning of the film makes me completely convinced that Galactus can now be rendered fully in terms of his size as per the source material. Considering how amazing Thanos looked in Infinity War, I would expect the same level of effects, perhaps even greater, to be applied when transferring Galactus onto the big screen. So really all of the elements are in play within the MCU to get a Silver Surfer movie going. There's no real obstacle that I can see that's standing in the way of getting a live action movie for the character. In terms of the actual timeline, when we consider the MCU, I think at the earliest, a Silver Surfer movie probably wouldn't happen till at least phase 6, of course, when we will start with the Fantastic Four. So it will probably be sometime after that. More realistically, the movie will likely arrive post Avengers Secret Wars, and who knows, the Surfer may have some involvement in that crossover, which could then lead to an overall standalone movie. So if that scenario plays out, we could be looking at perhaps 2025, maybe 2026, where we'll likely be looking ahead to phase 7, where I also expect to see the introduction of the X-Men. But regardless of when it happens, it's definitely time for the Silver Surfer to get his own movie. And it's probably a long time overdue now, but it definitely is deserving, as I believe he's truly one of Marvel's greatest characters. And I think a standalone movie should have all of the huge budget and resources put behind it to deliver something truly exceptional, where it could be potentially a standout entry within a superhero genre. Now, we all know that Marvel does infuse a lot of humour and lightheartedness within its films, sometimes perhaps too much, but in terms of the Silver Surfer, I do believe that it should be far more of a serious, grandiose, epic story where we really tap into the vastness of the galaxy and space, something very similar as to what we saw with the likes of maybe Interstellar. We could maybe have hints of Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey. Really, that large, encompassing, immersive, truly cinematic experience is what I would like to see in terms of the Silver Surfer. And of course, we could tap into all of the more outlandish characters and really emphasize even more as what we've seen in previous entries within the MCU. It most definitely shouldn't be a comedy or a knockabout slapstick adventure. I think that would be hugely disrespectful to the character and really rob the spectacular potential that we could have in terms of the overall franchise. So I would fully expect to see some sort of reference or mentioning during the Fantastic Four movie. We may even get further prominence in terms of the third Guardians of the Galaxy movie. But overall, I would state probably around 2026 would be the ideal time to really see a massive Silver Surfer movie. It could be something truly special and something a bit different to what we've seen within the MCU, really branching out further into that cosmic universe. The Silver Surfer is such a great character, and again, because you're dealing with the cosmic side of things, there is so much potential, so many different characters that you could introduce over multiple movies, as well as having him interact with all of the other characters. So for all of these reasons, it's why I believe that it is now time for the Silver Surfer to get his epic standalone movie that I believe the character truly deserves. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings on the Silver Surfer and whether it's time for him to get his standalone movie. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you as invested in the character? Do you think it's long overdue? What were your feelings towards his first live action introduction in that Fantastic Four sequel? Would you like to see any potential movie have similar connections to that in terms of the aesthetic of the character? Or would you like to see a far more tapping into the Jack Kirby aesthetic? What are your feelings, of course, on the animated series, and would you like to see further connections to that show as well? Let me know what you think in the comments. Or are you not very enthusiastic about the Silver Surfer, and would you rather see him more as a supporting character to the Fantastic Four rather than getting his own lead story? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you have any other suggestions or television shows or movies that you'd like to see me cover within the channel, then also drop a suggestion and I will see if I can provide further commentary for you within the future. Please also hit and like those subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.